Hello, dear friend. Before we begin, I want you to pause for a moment and truly arrive here. Let the noise around you fade just a little. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breathing slow down. This is not another fast video that throws advice at you and moves on. This is a space to understand yourself, your fear, and the silent struggle you carry every time you want to speak but don't. So many people want to speak English confidently. They listen to videos. They watch lessons. They learn grammar rules. They understand what others are saying. But when it is time to speak, something stops them. Their mind freezes. Their heart beats faster. Their thoughts become loud. And suddenly, silence feels safer than speaking. This video is about that moment. That exact moment when you know the words, but your mouth stays closed. Today, we are not talking about complicated grammar. We are not chasing perfection. We are not trying to sound like native speakers. Today, we are learning something far more important: how to stop overthinking and start speaking. Not someday, not after you feel ready, but now, from where you are. In this journey, you will understand why speaking feels so hard, even when you know English. You will discover the real reasons behind your fear, your hesitation, and your silence. And step by step, you will learn how to release that fear. Gently, calmly, without pressure. This is not about forcing confidence. This is about building courage. So stay with me. Listen slowly. Let the words settle inside you. Because by the end of this journey, speaking will no longer feel like a threat. It will feel like a door opening. Reason 1. Fear of making mistakes. Deep version. The first reason you can't speak is not a lack of English. It is the fear of making mistakes. And this fear is not small. It is not a simple nervous feeling. It is a deep, trained fear that lives inside your body, not just inside your mind. When you want to speak, your brain doesn't think, "Let's communicate." Your brain thinks, "Let's survive." It treats speaking like a danger, like a risk, like a moment where you could lose respect, feel embarrassment, or become the center of judgment. That is why your chest tightens. That is why your throat feels dry. That is why your thoughts become noisy. Because your brain is trying to protect you from pain. Many English learners carry a painful memory. Maybe someone laughed when they mispronounced a word. Maybe a teacher corrected them harshly. Maybe friends made a joke. Maybe they felt ashamed in front of others. One moment like that is enough to create a long-term fear. And once that fear is created, your brain begins to build a rule. Don't speak unless you're sure. That rule sounds smart, but it slowly destroys your growth. Because speaking is not a test. Speaking is practice. And practice is built on mistakes, not on perfection. The most dangerous thing about this fear is that it feels logical. You tell yourself, "I will speak when my grammar is better. I will speak when I know more vocabulary. I will speak when my pronunciation improves." But deep inside, this is not preparation. It is avoidance. Because the truth is, you can study for years and still feel the same fear the moment you open your mouth. Why? Because fear is not removed by knowledge. Fear is removed by experience. Your brain only learns "I am safe" when you step into the moment and survive it. This is why fluent speakers look confident. Not because they never made mistakes, but because they made so many mistakes that their brain stopped seeing speaking as danger. They built emotional immunity. They trained their nervous system. They learned that a wrong sentence will not kill them. A mispronounced word will not end their life. A small mistake will not destroy their value. And once they learned that truth, their speech became free. Think about this carefully. When you stay silent, you feel safe for a moment, but you become weaker long term. When you speak and make a mistake, you feel uncomfortable for a moment, but you become stronger long term. Silence gives you comfort now and pain later. Speaking gives you discomfort now and freedom later. This is the real choice. So the real goal is not speak perfectly. The real goal is speak anyway. Speak with simple words. Speak with short sentences. Speak even if your grammar is not perfect. Speak even if your accent is not perfect. Speak even if your sentence feels small. Because each time you do that, you send a powerful message to your brain. I can handle this. And that message is what creates confidence. There is a beautiful secret here. People are not judging you as much as you think. Most people are busy thinking about themselves. And even when someone notices your mistakes, many will respect you more, not less, because you had the courage to try. A learner who speaks is always stronger than a learner who stays silent. A person who tries is always ahead of a person who hides. Now let's make this practical. If you want to break the fear of mistakes, you need a new rule. Not the old rule that says, don't speak unless you're sure, but a new rule that says, speak first, correct later. This one rule can change your entire life. Because when you speak first, you train confidence. When you correct later, you improve accuracy. And both grow together. If you only chase accuracy, you become silent. If you chase confidence first, you become fluent. This is why the first step to real speaking is emotional, not grammatical. You must stop treating mistakes like shame. You must treat mistakes like training. Because mistakes are not proof that you are weak. Mistakes are proof that you are doing the work. And dear friend, if you can accept this one truth deeply, you will begin to change. You are not failing because you make mistakes. You are failing only when you never try. A wrong sentence is still a step forward. Silence is the only true loss. Reason 2. Overthinking. Every sentence. The second reason you can't speak is overthinking. And overthinking is not intelligence. Overthinking is fear wearing the mask of preparing. You don't overthink because you want to speak better. You overthink because you want to avoid the feeling of risk. You want to protect yourself from embarrassment, so your mind tries to build the perfect sentence before your mouth opens. But real conversation does not wait for perfect sentences. Real life moves fast. People ask, people respond, people change topics, people laugh, people interrupt, people move forward. And while life is moving, you are stuck inside your head. Building, editing, correcting, rewriting, doubting, deleting. This is why you often feel this painful experience. You know what you want to say, you even feel the meaning clearly, but your mouth doesn't move. Your brain is busy checking too many things at the same time. Grammar, pronunciation, word choice, sentence structure, accent, speed, correctness, and how you will sound to the other person. That is too much pressure for one moment. So your brain freezes. It chooses silence again. Then later, when you are alone, you suddenly remember the perfect sentence. You say it in your head perfectly. You feel angry and disappointed because you think, I could have said that. But the problem was never your English. The problem was that you were trying to be perfect in a moment that requires flow. Overthinking kills flow. And flow is the real secret of speaking. Fluency is not the ability to create perfect sentences. Fluency is the ability to keep moving. Even if your sentence is not perfect, you keep moving. Even if you forget a word, you keep moving. Even if you use simple grammar, you keep moving. This movement is what creates real fluency. Because the listener does not need perfection. They need understanding. They need connection. They need a message that reaches them. Here's the truth. Speaking is not writing. You are not writing an essay. You are not submitting a grammar exam. You are communicating. And communication is allowed to be imperfect. When you accept this, your mind becomes lighter. You stop trying to build a beautiful sentence and start sharing a real message. That shift is powerful. So how do you stop overthinking? You create speaking rules that make overthinking impossible. You give your brain a smaller job. Instead of trying to speak in long, perfect sentences, you speak in short, natural thoughts. You speak like this. I think, I feel, I want to say, maybe, to be honest, I'm not sure, but these simple openers reduce pressure. They give you time. They create flow. They allow your brain to start speaking before it starts judging. Also, you must accept one important training truth. The first version of your sentence is allowed to be imperfect. You don't need to prepare it inside your head for 10 seconds. Start speaking, and your brain will adjust while you speak. This is how real speakers speak. They do not build the full sentence first. They start, then they continue. And as they continue, the sentence becomes clearer. Your brain is smarter while you move than while you freeze. Overthinking is a habit. And the only way to break a habit is to practice the opposite habit. The opposite of overthinking is responding quickly with simple words. Not fast like panic, but quick like natural. Quick like real conversation. Quick like life. So the next time someone asks you something simple in English, don't search for perfection. Give a simple answer, even 2 words, even 3 words, even broken English. Let your brain feel the experience of, I responded. That one response is more valuable than 10 perfect sentences you never spoke. Because the goal is not to impress. The goal is to express. Reason 3. Thinking in your native language. First, the third reason you can't speak English is something very quiet, very hidden, but extremely powerful. You think in your native language first, and then you try to translate your thoughts into English. And this habit slows you down so much that speaking starts to feel impossible. While you are translating inside your head, the moment passes. The conversation moves on. The person looks away. And once again, you stay silent. This habit was not your fault. It was trained into you. From childhood, you were taught English as a subject, not as a living language. You learned English through translation. You memorized meanings. You matched words. You converted sentences. So your brain learned one rule. First think in my language, then convert. But real speaking does not work like that. Real conversation is too fast for translation. Real communication happens in real time. When you try to translate, your brain becomes overloaded. It has to do 3 jobs at once. Remember the meaning, find the English words, and arrange them correctly. That is too much pressure for 1 second. So your brain chooses silence again. Not because you don't know English, but because you are using the wrong system to produce it. Fluent speakers do not translate. They think in meaning, not in language. They don't ask, how do I say this in English? They feel the idea and let simple English come out naturally. Their sentences may not be perfect, but they are fast, natural, and alive. This is why they sound confident. Not because they know more grammar, but because their brain is not busy translating. Think about how children learn to speak their first language. They don't translate. They don't analyze grammar. They don't worry about correctness. They hear, they feel, they copy, they try. They speak broken sentences at first, but nobody stops them. Nobody laughs. Nobody says, "That's wrong." So their brain feels safe. And because it feels safe, it grows fast. You need to rebuild that same system for English. And the first step is to stop translating full sentences. Instead of thinking long ideas, start thinking in short English chunks. Simple phrases, daily expressions, real-life language. When you hear English again and again, your brain slowly starts connecting meaning directly to English words. Translation fades. Flow appears. At first, this will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will panic because it is losing its old habit. You may feel slower for a while. That is normal. That is the sign of rewiring. But if you keep listening to simple English, repeating short phrases, and speaking without translating, something powerful will happen. One day you will answer without thinking, and that moment will shock you in a beautiful way. You don't need to think in perfect English. You just need to stop thinking in perfect sentences. Let your English be simple. Let it be direct. Let it be alive. The moment you stop translating, your mouth will finally catch up with your thoughts. Reason 4. You were trained to be correct, not to communicate. The fourth reason you can't speak is not your weakness, it is your training. From the very beginning, you were taught that English is about correctness. Grammar rules, right answers, wrong answers, marks, exams, red pen corrections. And slowly, a dangerous belief formed inside you. If it's not correct, don't say it. This belief destroys communication, because real communication is not clean, it is messy. People repeat themselves, they pause, they change sentences in the middle, they correct themselves while speaking, they use simple words, they make mistakes, and nobody cares because the message is clear. But your training told you something else. It told you that English is something you must perform, not something you use. So every time you speak, you feel like you are being tested, like someone is waiting to judge your grammar, like one mistake will expose you. That pressure kills your voice. You were never trained to express ideas. You were trained to avoid errors. And avoiding errors creates silence. Look at fluent speakers carefully. Many of them make grammar mistakes. Many of them break rules. Many of them use simple structures. But they speak confidently because they were trained to communicate first and correct later. Their goal is understanding, not perfection. Communication is about connection, about sharing meaning, about being understood. Grammar is important, yes, but grammar comes after speaking, not before. When you reverse this order, fear disappears, because now your brain has permission to talk. To break this training, you need a new mindset. You must replace "is this correct?" with "is this clear?" Clarity matters more than correctness. A clear, broken sentence is better than a perfect, silent thought. When you allow yourself to communicate imperfectly, something beautiful happens. People respond. Conversations continue. Confidence grows. And only after confidence grows does accuracy improve naturally. Your voice was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be heard. Reason 5. You practice English in your head, not with your mouth. The fifth and final reason you can't speak English is very simple, yet very painful. You practice English silently, not out loud. You listen, you read, you watch videos, you understand almost everything. But when it comes time to speak, your mouth feels unfamiliar with the language. And that is because your mouth has not been trained. Language is not only a mental skill, it is a physical skill. Just like swimming cannot be learned by watching videos, speaking cannot be learned by listening alone. Your tongue, your lips, your jaw, your breath, all of them must be trained. And they can only be trained by speaking. Thinking is not enough. Understanding is not enough. Knowing is not enough. Speaking is the only thing that builds speaking. Many learners feel confident in their head. They say, "I know this sentence." But when they try to say it, the sound feels strange. The rhythm feels wrong. The words don't flow. And that creates frustration. So they go back to silence again. They tell themselves, "I'll speak later." But later never comes, because the mouth remains untrained. Fluent speakers sound fluent because their mouth has muscle memory. They have spoken thousands of sentences, even wrong ones, even awkward ones. Their mouth knows how English feels. Their breath knows the rhythm. Their tongue knows the movement. This is not talent. This is repetition. You don't need hours of speaking practice every day. You need daily, honest, out-loud speaking. Even 5 minutes a day can change your brain and your body. Speak alone. Speak to a mirror. Speak while walking. Speak while cooking. Repeat sentences you hear. Pause videos and speak back. Say simple thoughts out loud. "I'm tired today. I need to focus. I will try again." These small actions slowly remove fear. The first few days will feel uncomfortable. Your voice may shake. Your pronunciation may feel strange. You may feel embarrassed, even when no one is listening. That is normal. That is your nervous system learning something new. But if you continue, something powerful happens. Your mouth becomes familiar with English. Your fear becomes smaller. Your confidence grows quietly. Speaking is not a moment. It is a habit. And habits are built by repetition, not motivation. If you only practice English in your head, you will always stay silent. But when you practice English with your mouth, even imperfectly, you begin to unlock fluency. Slowly, naturally, permanently. Now let me say this clearly, and calmly, and honestly. You are not silent because you are bad at English. You are silent because you were trained to fear mistakes, trained to overthink, trained to translate, trained to chase perfection, and trained to stay quiet instead of trying. None of this means you are weak. It means you are human. And it means you can change. Fluency does not come from thinking more. Fluency comes from speaking more. Confidence does not come from knowing everything. Confidence comes from doing the thing you are afraid of. Gently, repeatedly, imperfectly. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You become ready by starting. Every sentence you speak, even a broken one, moves you forward. Every time you open your mouth, even when your voice shakes, you train courage. Every mistake you survive teaches your brain that you are safe. And once your brain feels safe, your voice becomes free. So stop asking yourself, "Am I good enough to speak?" Start telling yourself, "Speaking is how I become good." Stop thinking, start speaking, not tomorrow, not when you are perfect, but now, with the English you have, with the voice you have. with the courage you are building. And one day, you will look back and realize the moment you stopped thinking and started speaking was the moment your life began to change.